I want to talk about the half-tone whole tone scale. That's a symmetrical scale, and we're going to use it on the blues, and we're going to use it on the blues to have sort of a more outside sound, or maybe a little more jazzy sound, just like, you know, to inject a little spice into a progression. So let's have a quick look at this scale and what it is. I think most of you know it. It's just like half-tone, whole tone all the way, right? And if we play it on one string, like I always like to do, right, we can see really easily the structure of it, which is always the same thing, right? So this is a really interesting scale, and we're going to use it explicitly in bar 4 of a blues. So let's say we're having a C blues, then we have the 1 chord, the 4 chord, the 1 chord, right? And then bar 4, the 1 chord, going to the 4 chord again. And in this place we're going to use this scale, but of course we don't want to improvise always like this, right? What is also really cool, but maybe let's have a pattern. So this would be the same thing, just, you know, in one position. And since it's symmetrical, we can move this scale pattern around, right? But of course it looks the same thing on the outside, but the name of the notes change, and still we're playing a C7 that's going to an F. We can think about that as a 5-1, and still we want to resolve it, right? And we probably want to resolve it on like a chord tone on the F7, so that it has, like, you know, that feeling we're clicking back into the changes. And for that we need to know sort of what we're doing, right? So I want to give you some ideas how you can start working on that. And one thing that I always like to do is I'm imagining a chord shape in this scale pattern, and since this scale doesn't have any avoid notes, you can you know, do whatever you want, combine any kind of notes that you like, right? Doesn't matter. And whatever you find, you can shift around. And another thing that is really interesting is that you can also find triads in the scale. So if you have a look at it, you can see here's a C triad. Oh yeah, and then A. Right, so basically everything is shiftable. Of course there's also a C minor triad in it. Interesting enough, but I have to tune my guitar. So we're having triads, right? That we can shift C, A, F sharp, and E flat. And then of course we can try to find the same triads in one position. C, A, F sharp, and E flat. And then we can just have triad pairs, just to know, choose 2 of those triads, let's say the C and the A. Right, and then instead of playing it up and down, because that can sound kind of predictable, we can rather navigate those triad shapes on our fretboard. So let's record one of my favorite chords to play this scale over. Now we have this sound, it's always so important, right? And then we play C and A. And then we can just fool around a little bit. So, and now by accident I found something like, right? Because I'm ending on the flat 7 of the C7 now. that lands it very well to go to the A of the F7, right? We have the classic bebop connections. The flat 7 on the C, going to the A on the F7. And before we just like sort of had fun in our, you know, half tone, whole tone scale sound, but then we want to, you know, really go back into the changes and outline the chord, which is the F7. So now I found something where I can hear sort of where it wants to go, right? We have to train our ears to hear where stuff wants to resolve. And of course, right, we can shift this same lick that we just had now, right? Because everything is shiftable. And we'll still be in the half tone, whole tone scale. But if you have a look at it, now we have an A major triad and an F sharp triad, right? Because, right, the notes change, the structure stays. And if we allow ourselves to have a little freedom, we can say we want to keep the triads, for sure, the triad pair, but how we're going to resolve to the F7, so those last two notes, we're always going to find a new way how to connect it. And so I didn't prepare that, but I'm now just going to play this triad and hoping to find a way how I can connect to the F7 in this position now, right? Maybe. Maybe better. Das gefällt mir. Right, and let's do it one more time. We can shift it even lower. Right. Still keeping the triad pair. Now it's a F sharp 7 and E flat. Or maybe we want to call it D flat, I don't know. D sharp, sorry. And then again, always think where it resolves to, still resolving to the F7. So let's find a way to resolve it. How I like to work on stuff like this is by playing and just like giving myself the time to play it over and over again and just wait until my fingers find something that I really like, right? Not just like that works, but I really like it. So now I found something that I find in my ears really is clicking. So that leaves us, right, F sharp, A, C, with the last one up here. And with this little hammer on, what, like a flat 3 on the major 3, which is super bluesy, right? I'm sort of having this more like angular sound reconnected into the blues. But I think many of us experience this feeling if we're only playing the bluesy sound all the time, that we sometimes want to have a fresh sound. Here it is. Here's a way how you can find it. And just like, you know, instead of just, you know, playing the scale over the fretboard, take the time to maybe think in triad pairs like this. Can also be another triad pair, can also be another way of playing the shapes. And then just say, okay, this thing on the dominant 7 flat 9 13, this thing, the half tone whole tone thing, this one is going to stay the same. I'm shifting it around, right? But the structure and maybe even the fingering for the moment is staying the same. But then I'm finding different ways of resolving it to the next chord. And that's what I just did, and that's a lot of fun. And I can hear for myself how it helps me understand the scale, right? Because don't be confused, right? On the visual side, it looks the same, but you could hear when I played it, of course, we have different notes and it sounds different and they want to resolve in a different way. Like this, we can work on it. So have fun exploring this new cool sound and I'll see you next week. Bye.